Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday night or whatever time zone you're in. Feel free to turn your cameras on if you'd like. You don't have to. We'd love to see your faces. If y'all can put in the chat, hey Rob, good to see you. If you can put in the chat where you're zooming in from, we love to know where everyone's coming, what city or state or country. Do we have anyone from other countries? Love to hear that. So drop that in the chat. Beautiful. We'll just let a couple more people come in. Got someone from Kentucky. Very cool. Love it. Tropical bushwhack. I love it. All right. Nice, nice. I assume some other people in New York. We're just dropping in the chat where we're zooming in from. Dayton, Ohio, with a smiley face. I wasn't sure. It's like, how do we feel about Ohio? South Atlanta, Georgia. Nice. Brooklyn. Cool. I'm in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, in my apartment. My brick wall. All I ever wanted was an apartment with a brick wall, and my ex always said you could just move to the park and it would be the same. But having a brick wall, it's nice. It's a nice vibe. Got a lot of Brooklyn. Okay, Jody's in Sunset Park. Love it. That's where the studio is. Okay, beautiful. Keep dropping that in the chat, and we're going to get started as people come in. Thank you all again for being here. You could have been anywhere tonight, but you chose to be here with us, so we appreciate that. And we're excited to get to know you guys and for you to get to know us a little bit. So if you don't know where you are or why you're here, hopefully everyone does. This is the webinar for our fall intensive, and we'll also be talking about the fall conservatory. So we have a couple programs beginning. I'm going to go through some boring logistics. If you guys are note takers, feel free to write these things down. You'll also get an email with all this info. Okay, Layla's got her notebook. Love it. No need to write it down. We're also recording this, so we'll send it to you guys after. But the three soonest programs are we have our online intensive, which is going to begin September 9th, our 2-year program. And for that, we have a conservatory and a part-time program, which begins September 15th, and our in-person fall intensive, which begins October 13th, Monday and Thursday evening. And that is what we are here to talk about today. So if you are interested in other programs besides the in-person intensive, which is what we're primarily talking about today, we can absolutely talk about that. You can ask those questions at the end, or we could schedule a time to talk. I know some of you I've already spoken to, so it's great to see some familiar faces. Hey, Hunter. And Julie's going to be joining our online intensive. Love to see it. So getting specific about the in-person fall intensive, which at this time has 13 spots available. So we're already kind of building some momentum, which is exciting. That's going to be Monday and Thursday evening from 7 to about 9:30 p.m. at our beautiful Industry City studio. The end time is dependent on how many people are in the class. Because it is all partner-based work, it wouldn't be right to have a class of 8 and a class of 20 in the same amount of time. We want to make sure everyone has adequate time, and also there's no extra time. All that time is being filled. So the end time will probably be around 9:30, could go to 10, and we'll let you guys know as we get closer to that. This in-person intensive, see, there's so many programs. I'm going to mix them up. Angeline's going to correct me if I get anything wrong. This in-person intensive and all of our level 1 intensives are the first 18 classes of the Meisner progression. So this is a great opportunity for actors, whether you are newer to acting, looking for like really a strong foundation for yourself, a technique, or you are a more experienced actor. Maybe you have a BFA, maybe you've been working in the business, in the industry, but you want to feel more grounded in your work, more confident, or really like build a technique for yourself. This is a great way to do it. We teach the Meisner technique, and we're going to get a little bit into what Meisner is, why Meisner, why we love it in a bit. But that's kind of the gist of the intensive, just so everyone knows how this hour is going to go, or this next 55 minutes. If you are just joining in, feel free to drop where you're zooming in from in the chat. We love to see where everyone's coming from. I see we got some Jersey folks, lots of Bushwick, NYC, Atlanta, Ohio, very cool. But here's how it's going to go. We're going to do some intros. I'm going to do a little bit of a Q&A with some of our folks here from the studio. And then after that, they're going to demonstrate or model the repetition exercise, which Ani's going to get into what that's about in a bit. And then we will open the floor to y'all if you have questions or things that you're wanting to know either from me, from the teacher, or from the students who've done it. We're all the idea of this is to really give y'all as much information as you can and give you a really clear insight into what this specific program is, so you can see if it feels right for you, and if you want to join us in October or in one of our earlier programs in September. And then I have a special offer for those of you who make it till the end, a discount. So if you make it till the end, you'll get that special offer. That's your little incentive there. And then we'll wrap if y'all have any other personal questions just for me, like whether it's about payment plans or scheduling. I'll stick around for a bit. But that's the plan. Does that sound good? Can I get some thumbs up? That work for you? Yeah, yes, I love it. I love it. Thank you guys. All right, so we're gonna start with some intros. You guys don't have to introduce yourselves right now, although at some point I want to get to know you. But for now, we're just gonna introduce the folks from the studio who are here. So I will start. My name is Marina. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the director of admissions and the director of operations at TKS. So I do a lot of things. And yeah, I've been here coming on 2 years. I'm not an actor, which shocks a lot of people because they say I have actor energy. But I direct and I produce, and I have been very fortunate to have worked in a directing and producing position with many alumni from the studio over the last 2 years. So that's been really cool to see how skilled and how passionate and dedicated our actors are at TKS, and confident. So I can talk about that, and I'm always happy to chat. And I'm going to pass it on to Angeline.
Hello, my name's Angeline, she, her pronouns. I'm the marketing manager here at TKS. And I've just been blown away by the legitimacy of the program and all of the instructors and staff members at TKS. And part of my role is to try to tell the story, and a lot of what we do is digitally because that's where we are in 2025. But I love these open houses, and even though we're on Zoom, it just gives us an opportunity to hopefully give you a taste of just like the spirit and the goodness that is happening here at TKS. So thank you for joining us, and excited to have you all. And I'll pass to Onye. Oh, sorry, Marina, is that
Well,
you?
You read my mind. That's exactly what I was going to do.
Hi, everybody. My name is Onye. I am an associate Meisner teacher here at TKS. I have been at the studio here, I guess, since 2020, late 2021, early 2022, so a few years. I'm also a working actor. I have been fortunate to essentially make my living as an actor and as a teacher for the last 5 or 6 years. Yeah, about 5 or 6 years. And so, I really, really, really love what we have going at the studio, mostly because um, the community here is just so amazing. A lot of my closest friends and who I consider my tribe and who I consider my community are folks that I met here at the studio. And so it's keeps me coming back, and also this work is also amazing. Um, yeah, that's kind of who I am in a nutshell.
Awesome. Thank you, Anye. And we'll pass it along to Colleen.
Hi, everyone. My name is Colleen, she, her pronouns. I am currently a student at TKS. I did the fall intensive last fall with Onye, and now I'm currently enrolled in the 2-year program and just completed my first year. So apparently the fall intensive worked for me. And yeah, I've really enjoyed the community. I think that was a great point Onye brought up, and looking forward to chatting with all of you.
Amazing. And Colleen is in Celestine Ray's class. She started in January, so that class will happen as well. For those of you who do want to continue on, there's an evening track in January, so she can answer questions about that later when we get to that portion. Thank you, Colleen. And last but not least, Jody.
Hi guys, my name is Jodie Whittle, and I'm a writer, director, recovering drag queen from London. I did the intensive with Onye last year, and it was life-changing. I would have enrolled in the 2-year had the logistics worked, and that's something that's in my future, maybe next year or the year after. And I joined the class to become a better director, but found myself completely in love with the Meisner acting technique. And so also love the community. I'm in the process of developing and filming a short film in a few months, which is the core team are from that class. So made really profound and long-lasting relationships.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. Angeline, I want to change the view, but I can't remember how to speaker view now. Oh, I figured it out. I just needed to speak it, and now we've done it. All right, beautiful. So thank you, Jody, Onye, and Colleen. Colleen, am I saying your name right? Is it Colleen?
It is Colleen, but any
Colleen. Yeah.
lots of different accents say it. Like I have family that says Colleen, so you're good.
Okay, Colleen. I love to pronounce people's names right. If I ever pronounce your name wrong, let me know. But thank you, Colleen. All right, awesome. So I'm gonna ask you guys some questions now, starting with Onye. Onye, if you could tell us a little bit about what happens in the intensive. You know, this is 18 classes, 9 weeks. What can students who are interested, or some, I see some people here who are already enrolled, what can they expect?
Wow. You prepared me for this question, and I still don't really know how to answer it because it's such an experience. Uh, so, logistically speaking, the Meisner curriculum here at the studio is like 100, I think it's 126 or 128 classes, and each year is 62 to 64 classes. The intensive is the first 18 classes of that curriculum. And what you can really expect in terms of experience is something that is a part of a whole, but also is a whole by itself, right? The way that it's programmed really allows for anybody who is new to acting or folks who have been doing it for a long time. It really kind of sets a level playing field for everybody because one thing that we believe in the studio is the belief that a lot of our acting and a lot of our best work comes from the child inside of us, right? And so we start from the beginning. And one of the questions you'll get asked is, "Are you willing to be a beginner?" Right? We have a phrase that you'll see in all the little notebooks that you get, and I think we still do this where when you first sign up, you get a little acorn, and the reason why is because the phrase "mighty oaks from little acorns grow," and the first 18 classes is you getting in touch with what this acorn is, what it takes to harvest it, what it takes to make it grow, and that's done through the beginning of the Meisner curriculum. Just to give you all a little bit of background, I suppose, Meisner had a protege named Bill Esper. Bill Esper, he has a studio in New York as well. And then Bill's protege was Terry. And so Terry, being obviously the person that started this studio, there is a really, really strong lineage to original Meisner technique, right? And so we follow a lot of that curriculum, most of the curriculum, so that we can create the best actor that you can be, right? That's the whole point. How can we make you the best actor that you can be? We're not here to make you Meisner actors because nobody goes to the movies to watch Meisner acting. They just kind of go to the movies to watch acting. But what it does is it gives you the beginnings of a tool belt that you will be able to use inside of your own personal journey. And if you like it, you can stick around for another year and a half and see how you feel about completing the entire curriculum. But that's just the Meisner class. We do all of that sort of over the course of 18 classes over the course of 9 weeks. We'll go through the repetition exercise, different versions of the repetition exercise into independent activity, and then eventually we will end with text work. And once again, that's just a little slice of it. So
I love that. Thank you, Anya. And I love what you said about the tool belt. I think I always think of the Meisner technique as a tool belt or a toolbox for actors. And this intensive really giving you those most foundational tools like the hammer and the screwdriver. You're going to learn how to use those too. You can't do everything with just a hammer and a screwdriver. And that's why it's 128 classes. Then later I'm going to embarrass myself because I actually know nothing about tools. You'll get your screws and your that's it. That's all I know. Wrench. There we go. I know another one. And you'll get those other tools. But if you have a hammer and a screwdriver, you can do some damage. And that's really where your confidence starts to build as an actor. And the idea with Meisner is by the time, you finish this work and even like into the 18 classes, you will really start to be able to pick up any script, any role and say, yep, I know what to do with this, because you don't have to just rely on instincts. You will have a technique for you to work upon. And I always like to say this work is, and this intensive in particular, it is foundational, but it's not introductory. I wouldn't say this is a good intensive for somebody who's never acted before and isn't really sure if acting is for them. I would say like you need to be ready to work, and you need to be ready to fail a lot and get it wrong. Anya's nodding. I see we're gonna have a lot of nods, Colleen and Joni. And we're gonna talk about that in a little bit. And if you're willing to really work hard and fail and talk about it and be open to change and be open to grow and open to feedback, then this is an incredible intensive for you, no matter where you are at. You can be very beginning in your acting career or acting journey, but I'd say you should be really ready to commit, to be all in. Those are the people who are all in are the ones who are most successful in this intensive. And so I feel like you kind of already started to talk about this, Onye, but if you have anything else to say about why Meisner, what do you like about this technique? Why do you think it works? I think what you said about, we're not going to the movies to see Meisner acting, but Meisner technique makes really good actors. What can you say anything else about like why you feel this is the technique to teach?
Great question. I think that it is a really, really amazing technique because I am a person who loves process, right? Process in the way, not necessarily like I need you to see all of my work, but more in the way of how can I put words and actions to the instincts that I already have, right? So much of what we do is instinctual for sure as actors, but the craft of it is how can it be repeated, right? How are we able to do this thing reliably over and over and over and over again, right? With at least some version of varying success, if that makes sense. And I use the word success. Success doesn't necessarily mean I got it right. Success just kind of means, did I do everything that I set out to do? Right. And the ability to be able to do everything that you want to do every single time requires some version of training. And I think the Meisner technique, more than any of the other ones that I've studied, any other acting technique anyway that I've studied, lends itself to here's the process. Here are the things that you can actively do as kind of like check marks to put up against the instinctual thing that we all already have innately. How can you do this as well as possible on purpose every single time while still having fun? I think that's the other thing about it, is that it's actually very fun and it's very revelatory. I think any acting technique, if it's worth anything, even mask reveals. And there's something about the Meisner technique specifically because of how much we have to put into just vocalizing and verbalizing our instincts that reveals a lot about who we are and reveals a lot about what our authenticity is, because that's what you're really doing. I could give everybody here the same line with the same intention, but if all of you bring your own authenticity to that same line, that same intention, we'll have 15 different versions of the same thing. And I think that's beautiful, right? So that's what I really love about the Meisner technique. There's something about the process of it that's amazing. I'm also a musician. Musicians do really well with this. athletes do really well with this. You know, my old acting teacher used to say that technique is standing at the ballet bar. You'll hear me say this again if you end up in the class, hopefully. Technique is standing at the ballet bar and pointing your toes 1,000 times so that one day you lift your foot and your toes pointed, right? That's what technique is. And so that's kind of what you get with your heart when it comes to the Meisner technique. Is you are in some ways pointing your toes 1,000 times so that one day you're in a scene with a person, or you're just in a scene with lines and you don't even have to think about what it means to be authentic. You don't have to worry about what your hands are doing, as actors tend to, including myself, right? You can just look at the person in front of you. Exactly. You can look at the person in front of you and go, I know where I am because everything I need is right in front of me. So I could go on for a long time, and I will try not to, but that's why Meisner.
Love that, Anya. Thank you. And I will say just you know, a note about like our teachers at the studio. Terry is incredibly selective about who can teach at the studio. So there's only actually 3 other Meisner teachers who have been approved, which makes it hard when we need subs, but that's okay because we know that everyone here is really like handpicked by Terry and are aligned with his mission and his values. And you know, I love what you said about the ballet bar. I've never heard that before, but I think it's so true. And you probably know this, Anya, but Meisner was a pianist before he was an acting teacher. And when he started taking acting classes, he was confused because they jumped right into scene work, and he was like, well, I'm supposed to just rely completely on my instincts. Like, you're never going to give a piano student Mozart on day one, right? Like, they start with scales, and that's how you build skill, is starting with scale, starting at the ballet bar and pointing your toe 1,000 times. And with acting, it should be the same. And if you really want to be skilled and be 100% sure of what you're doing every time, there's no guesswork, then I think technique, and Meisner in particular, with the way that it's structured, will give you that. So I love that. Thank you so much, Anya, for everything you said. And now I'd love to talk to our students, to Jody and Colleen, about their experience. If y'all want to share a little bit about what you gained from the intensive and what changed about your work during it. So Jody, you can talk. I'll have Jody, you start with like your experience in the intensive, since you finished after that, although I love to hear that you're planning to continue the work. And then Colleen, you can talk a little bit about that work, and then continuing on and what that felt like, looked like, did for your person, your body, your soul, all of that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me really miss class. Actually, I'm jealous of anybody that's going to return to an intensive. I mean, it was for me, it was a very simple proposition. I needed to become a better director to understand how to collaborate with actors more. And in the first few weeks, I thought I was out of my depth and I didn't know what I was doing, and everyone around me was seemed so. I mean, I think there's a cultural difference between British and American, that us Brits are quite uptight and all those sort of things. But the work that we did with Onye was very there's an emotional dimension to this work, which I think sometimes can be intimidating. And you go through a period where, at least I did, where I kind of thought that if I manifested like a facsimile of emotion, that would be good enough. But then Onye would spot that, and there would be this kind of transition where you realize that Onye, and I haven't worked with any other teacher at TKS, but I imagine there's comparable experiences, but Onye won't let you get away with anything, which at first can be quite demanding emotionally, but then ultimately that's very liberating, because then, you know, that at no point is there any calculation to be done. You're just expressing yourself in a way that is honest and authentic, or you're moving toward being able to do that, you know. For me, there were ripple effects in other parts of my life as well, because it made me really interrogate my self-soothing techniques, whether I paced if I had something on my mind, or it really puts a spotlight on insecurities and different emotional barriers you have. And that was amazing because I then would enter the rest of my life. I work in advertising, so I did a lot of pitch work, and I found the pitches were a lot richer, and I was able to express myself in a way that was more authentic and less fogged up by the coping mechanisms of being nervous that I normally didn't even know I was doing. And I really wanted to do the 2 year. I just logistically it just wasn't possible. But all the students that I was working with that were going to the 2 year were so excited and so amped up, and I kind of kept in contact with a lot of people, and it is very transformative. So, and the last thing I'll say is that I went into it wanting to understand acting, but certainly not prepared to be an actor. But that that's definitely shifted. At the very least, I want to continue the study. Whether or not I enter the marketplace is a different conversation with myself. But certainly, it's an incredibly worthwhile study.
Thank you, Jody. I love that. And, some people will just do the intensive and that's okay. I mean, of course we'd love you back, but if there's people who come in not from New York and that's what they're able to do, it's great when you can continue on, but you will get a lot out of this intensive. This work, these first 18 classes stand alone. That's why every reputable Meisner conservatory, they do have an intensive with the first 18 classes, because those 18 classes, they start with the repetition work, they advance, and they end with a scene. So you do feel like there's some culmination. And then if you really are left wanting more, or being like, holy shit, this is the thing, this is what's making me understand myself, understand my work, understand like my instrument, then you continue on. And I think there's a lot of ways that can look. So thank you, Jody, for sharing your experience.
Also,
I'm here
to
now
be
from
clear,
Colleen. Oh yeah, go ahead, Anya.
oh no, I was gonna say, to be clear, Jody's a great actor. Don't let him. I might do. No, he's great.
Thank you.
That's Colleen. Like let's call a spade a spade. Anyway, just wanted to add that.
Jody also took our actors creating work class with David Deblinger in the spring, and I got to see some of his work. So I will say, we have a plethora of classes. I'm not going to go through all of them here because it will just be like me reading a menu to you all. But if this class doesn't work with your schedule, we have improv in the fall, we have Chekhov, we have a lot of classes. So these actors here have taken different classes. Maybe in the spring, Anya will be teaching an on-camera class. So there's a lot happening. We're excited to have you. And once you join the TKS community, you are part of our community for life, and you're always welcome to take more. So thank you for that, Anya and Jody. And now, Colleen, I'd love to hear from you about your experience thus far and how it has changed your work, your understanding of yourself. Ooh, hello. Sorry, my Wi-Fi just got funky. Am I still here?
Oh no. Yeah, you're still here.
Great. Go for it, Colleen.
Yeah. So I ended up at TKS for the fall. I had a roommate in Los Angeles previously who did the full conservatory and always raved about it. And at the time, my career started off in marketing and post-production, but I'd always wanted to do acting. And so I took the dive after spending some time thinking about what I really want to do with my life and saving up money. And I did an intensive, kind of a fundamentals intensive before I came to TKS, and kind of answered that question, like, yes, this is something I'm interested in. Just so in case like any of you don't have an acting background, you can dive in with less, I did not go to NYU or anything like that. So I did some work beforehand and answered that question of yeah, I want to really get serious about this. And I knew TK had a great reputation. So did the fall intensive. And that really is where I started to see, oh, this is the foundation of a technique. And I love, love, love the piano analogy. I tell people that all the time when they're like, what's Meisner? Because it is so true. You got to start off with the basics. And now, especially at the end of the intensive, by the end you're doing all this other stuff, and it's in a blink of an eye that you added all these layers onto the technique, which is incredible. To echo what Jody said, Anya won't let you get away with anything, which I love because that's what we're honestly paying money for. I'm not here for someone to tell me you're amazing and then call it a day, and he does it all with love. Like clearly, I hope you can all see he's so passionate about the craft. And that's what like I took in every class and was so grateful for, was that passion. Because I think passion in anything, it could be plumbing toilets. If you have passion, like it just enriches your life, other people's life. And so that's really what I got from Onye and taking his class. And then, you know, him helping identify my habits that I wasn't even aware of. I am a caretaker in my day-to-day life, or I was, I'll say. And that's something, especially in your acting, that, you know, isn't always helpful. And that was something like that Onye could show that mirror to me. And he was like, well, how do you actually feel in this moment? And really, really being truthful with yourself. And like he talked about, you know, what were you like as your childlike self? That is something that's so helpful in your acting. And like really going back to your natural impulses. So that's what I really gained from the intensive. And the culmination with the scene was so great too, because it's still an exercise that you're doing and being truthful and responsible. It's not that we're putting on a performance. We're not stressed about like, is this the best show ever? You're still doing an exercise. But it felt like a great culmination. By the end of it, for me personally, I saw this opportunity to build on the momentum that I gained in the intensive, and to build on that and go further into the program. Because I genuinely thought, because I came from outside of the city, I was like, cool, I'll do a fun little fall in New York, do an intensive, then move back to LA or like whatever. But in addition to the studio having a great community and all these opportunities within, New York itself, as many of you live here, I just had never been in that environment where it's just you step out the door and there's creativity and art surrounding you all the time, even when it's not acting, just like something that enriches your day to day in your life. And I remember Onye in our exit interview, you said something, you quoted someone of like living in New York is a creative endeavor.
Yes.
Just being there. And that really stuck with me because I ended the program and then I was like, wait, I need to be here. So I really encourage, if any of you are thinking of the intensive and feeling like it might be a jump or something out of your comfort zone, but like I'm like, yeah, just do it. It's truly life-changing and enriching.
Oh yeah, I love that. Thank you, Colleen.
You're welcome.
Excuse me. Did either of you, Colleen or Jody, do voice or movement intensive? And if so, can you talk a little bit about that? And just before I get into that, I haven't mentioned that yet because the foundation of this work is acting, but this is a holistic training, a holistic approach to training, which means we are training your whole instrument. And that instrument as an actor is your voice and your body. So most students, if they can, will take acting with either movement and voice or all three. And the movement and voice work, movement happens Wednesday nights and then Saturday mornings, and voice work is Tuesday nights and Saturday afternoons. So, you know, if you're really wanting to go all in and focus on your instrument, I always say to students who are like, I can really only afford one, I say, do the one that's scarier to you because that's the one you need. But I'd love, Colleen, I know you did it. I couldn't see Jody if he was nodding or not, but can you talk a little bit about?
I didn't do it.
All right, well, so it's not too late, Jody. You can join this. But Colleen, I know you've also done obviously more voice work as you continue, more voice and movement work as you continued into the 2 year. But can you talk a little bit about what that was and what that did for your work? Did it benefit you? Was it useful, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. So I did both movement and voice. And something about especially those two classes is that the teachers in those classes also have a Meisner background. So they know what you're going through in your acting class, and they really create this holistic picture with those classes too. Something I love about my voice teacher, Matthew, who also did the intensive for me, I'm not sure if he's doing this fall intensive, but he'll just like sit in the beginning of class sometimes and he's like, how's it going over there? Like in the other room. And we can just like be an open book with him as well, and how it's affecting our voice. And I love having that extra person who is a mentor to like be able to like talk to and be open about. And also with voice, I think that really like helps create, again, another skill set and process of how do I properly warm up. And it's not, you have to do this to a T, but you can take all the tools and build a warm up that works for you. And I will say, I think everyone needs a voice class. Like, we do things in our day-to-day, we've built habits in our voice that we are not aware of whatsoever. And voice class will really help you identify and like help you open up your instrument to, again, getting your authentic voice, because that's such an important part of our communication in our work. So that was a really great component, especially for like building a warm up that you can take into class and really ground yourself before class starts. And then for movement, for me, oh, that was such an amazing class to have, because the technique we do is called Williamson to begin, and it's just like a really free technique. We do what we call open choreography, and basically it's just however you feel is how you feel. Like, you can't do anything wrong in this moment, and it's just great to have that counter to, you know, maybe sometimes you're the type that's in your head and you're like, oh, I had a bad class or whatever. Well, in this class, you can't have bad class. I don't think you can ever have bad class, because you learn from all your failures and all that, which I have certainly learned. But movement, I mean, you can just let out a primal scream. You can just like do anything. And it really, for me, helped me work out just stuff that would culminate in my body, just stress from the day or my brain or whatever, and really just let me get into my body and also like be really authentic in that. And I now take some of those movements or warm-ups into my class before I start. Movement, I found, is really important for me as well, like grounding myself before class and just kind of getting away my daily habits in my pedestrian body, we'll call it, and into my actor body. So I'm a big fan of all three.
Love that. I love that. Thank you so much, Colleen. All right. So before we get into repetition, you both have spoken so beautifully about Onye, but since many people who are here are thinking about the intensive and they really want to know, like, who the fuck is this guy who's going to be my teacher? Can you talk a little bit more, if you have anything else to say, about your actual experience with Onye? Onye, I'm putting you on the spot right now. It's your birthday suddenly. If you can talk about just like how he in particular helped you. You've already spoken a lot about it, but just any final words before we get into the repetition.
Be kind.
One thing I will add that I didn't say already, I'm sure we have all had plenty of jobs or teachers, and you can tell teacher or boss or whoever has favorites. I could never tell a favorite with Onye. Like, and that is so helpful for me, because, you know, sometimes you're in class and you might be getting feedback that's like hard. But then you're going to see someone else go up there and they are also going to get hard feedback. And it feels good that it's like, okay, he's here to really help us all. Like, it doesn't help him or any of us if he has favorites.
Mm.
And that just really stuck out to me, because I just think equality in that sense is so great to have. And also for a cohort to feel like we're in this together and can support each other as such. So that was something that really stuck out to me. And then, you know, some of the work can get really hard and serious and whatnot, but I can't think of a single class where we didn't laugh or like have fun during it, even in response to some of the serious moments. What I've also learned in the program is like great comedy comes from people who are committed, and that might be in a very serious manner or something that's not haha funny, and life is just funny. And so I always walked away from class like having a good time too. So that's something that really I think Onye brought to all of us.
Love
I don't think I can add much to that. I think it was very eloquent. The thing that I found really important was that Onye took us all very seriously, really gave us respect and time, and allowed us to take ourselves seriously. And I think there are some people that walk into the program and they know they're going to be an actor, and they are committed, and they have done a lot of work to make sure that they are going to, you know, stay the course. But there were definitely other people in the class that I think were still trying to find their feet. And I think that there's a real talent in a teacher that's able to serve those that have a very focused and intentional idea of who they are, but also support those that are still finding their feet. And then we all arrive at the same place at the end, which is miraculous. And that takes vulnerability at the right moments, and that takes a bit of distance at the right moments. So I think that there's a lot of, I think Onye's instincts are incredibly appropriate to the job, but I think that there's also a lot of skill that's built upon those instincts that allows us as a class to have this seamless experience. And yeah, there are no favorites. There are no, there's no fluctuation in energy, which I think consistency is very important in the class that invites emotion as part of the work. And yeah, it was incredibly enjoyable. And the exit interview where we had 10 minutes one-on-one was, you know, somewhat emotional for all of us, because we were, this was the last time we were going to see our friend Onye for a bit, you know, especially those of us that weren't planning or able to do the 2 years straight away. So yeah, I miss you, mate. I really do. So good to see you.
I miss y'all too. I think about the class often. I really do.
Jody, you can always come audit one of the intensives once you finish the work. You could always ask Anya. All right, so with that, Anya, Jody, Colleen, are you ready to play a little?
Yeah, let's
Oh
do it.
yeah.
Beautiful. Anya, we talked way more than I planned, which is expected. I should just always plan for more time because there's so much to say. So we'll have 5 minutes to do this. So we'll be quick and dirty, and we'll get to see a little bit of repetition. So I guess if you can start, Anya, by just telling us what everyone can expect to see, and then we can jump in.
Yeah, absolutely. So we build repetition. I imagine there's some folks here who are already kind of familiar with Meisner, but just for the sake of level playing field, we build our repetition kind of in stages, and we talk about the ways that repetition can change, right? So before it can change, the first thing that we want to do is simply, can you repeat the words that I'm saying? Right? So I'll ask Colleen, or I'll start with Colleen. If I say, you have black hair.
I have black hair.
She has black hair. Amazing. Fantastic. Right. Or with Jody, you're wearing a necklace.
I'm wearing a necklace.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first way that repetition does change is by making it truthful. And whether or not you saw it, they made it truthful when they changed their pronoun from you have black hair, you're wearing a necklace, to I have black hair, I'm wearing a necklace, right? And so the first version of repetition is just easily agreed upon truths, right? That's what I call it. Easily agreed upon truths, something that anybody in the entire world can look at and go, yeah, that's what I see as well, right? Oftentimes these are just observations. So we will start just with the observations, and feel free to keep it truthful by changing the pronouns as you already have been, okay? Take each other in just when you're ready.
You have a mole on your arm.
I have a mole on my arm.
You have a mole on your arm.
I have a mole on my arm.
You have a mole on your arm.
I have a mole on my arm.
You have a mole on your arm.
I have a mole on my arm.
You have a mole on your arm.
I have a mole on my arm.
You have a mole on your arm.
You have white earphones.
I have white earphones.
You have white earphones.
I have white earphones.
You have white earphones.
I have white earphones.
Okay, pause. I'm so sorry. There's so many things that have already happened. It's very exciting. Did we all notice there was a point where Jody kind of messed up the repetition? I'm putting that in quotes. Messed up the repetition, and that kind of led to him smiling, which was then also returned by Colleen with the smiling. And one of my favorite things to do is, if I was listening to this on mute, I could watch these two people have a relationship with you have a mole on your arm, right? And just the idea of leaving themselves alone and really just looking at what's going on over there. This is why we start with these observations. The more that you're able to put your attention on the other person, the more you're able to be affected by them, even if you are just saying you have white earphones, right? That's one part of the reason I think this stuff is really beautiful. I don't know. We should do more. Let's do more. I don't want to keep talking.
You're wearing a dark sweater.
I'm wearing a dark sweater.
You're wearing a dark sweater.
I'm wearing a dark sweater.
You're wearing a dark sweater.
I'm wearing a dark sweater.
You're wearing a dark sweater.
I'm wearing a dark sweater.
You're wearing a dark sweater.
I'm wearing a dark sweater.
You're wearing a dark sweater.
I'm wearing a dark sweater.
You're wearing a dark sweater.
I'm wearing a dark sweater.
You're wearing a dark sweater.
I'm wearing a dark sweater.
You're wearing a dark sweater.
I'm wearing a dark sweater.
You're wearing a dark sweater.
I'm wearing a dark sweater.
You are wearing a dark sweater.
I am wearing a dark sweater.
You are wearing a dark sweater.
I am wearing a dark sweater.
You are wearing a dark sweater.
You're sounding real cheeky right now.
I'm sounding really cheeky right now.
You're sounding really cheeky right now.
I'm sounding really cheeky right now.
You're sounding really cheeky right now.
I'm sounding really cheeky right now.
You're sounding really cheeky right now.
I'm sounding really cheeky right now.
You're sounding really cheeky right now.
I'm sounding really cheeky right now.
You're sounding really cheeky right now.
Jody, how does
You're-
it feel to be called cheeky?
I'm sounding really cheeky right now.
You're sounding really cheeky right now.
You're giving me the cheeky.
I'm giving you the cheeky.
You're giving me the cheeky.
I'm giving you the cheeky.
You're giving me the cheeky.
I'm giving you the cheeky.
You give me the cheeky.
I give you the cheeky.
You give me the cheeky.
I give you the cheeky.
You give me the cheeky.
I give you the cheeky.
Yeah, you give me the cheeky.
Yeah, I give you the cheeky.
Great.
Yeah.
Lovely. Lovely, lovely. So a lot of things happen once again, right? I asked Jody how does it feel to be called cheeky, and Jody kind of responded with the words that they were already repeating. You may have noticed, you may not have noticed, but there was something about the way that Jody now started repeating those words that had a little bit more of an opinion there, right? Even Colleen offering, you sound really cheeky right now. That's not necessarily an observation, but it was something that happened in the moment, and she dealt with that moment immediately, simply by calling out what she's seeing, simply by calling out how she's being affected by Jody, right? And then the last thing I'll say is one of the ways that repetition can change is what's called the pileup, right? I'm not going to get too much into the first class or the second class, but basically every single moment has a meaning, right? That's the whole thing about scales. How do we make sure that every single one of those notes means something? Because if you miss one, then you're not playing the scale, right?
Mhm.
And if every single moment has a meaning, then the pileup of all of these meaningful moments will also have a meaning, right? And the way that it manifested in their repetition was, yeah, I give you the cheeky. Cool. So it happened a few times. I'm giving you cheeky. I'm giving you, yeah, I'm right. So even that introduction of the word, yeah, has a meaning, and it could be anything. It could be, okay, I'm tired of repeating this. It could be, yeah, come on, let's keep going. It could be, I really fucking hate you. Excuse me, I'm cussing. I cuss, y'all. I'm so sorry. It could be whatever. It could be any of those things, right? But it was dealt with. I don't remember who said yeah first. It might have been Jody. But it was dealt with inside of the repetition because it was repeated by the other person, right? So as soon as that was introduced into the repetition, now it's part of it, right? The other beautiful thing is that it only changes if it has to. It only changes if it has to. Sometimes we get into this thing of like, I have to make sure I see everything, right? Which is useful to an extent, but mostly just be there. If you don't know what to do, just repeat. And I promise something will happen that will take your attention, and then it has to change, right? So this is just a little bit of an intro. We get to do hours and hours of this, and then we get to add objects, and then we get to add other things, but you'll have to join the class to see what all those other things are.
Amazing, an incredible teaser. Thank you, Colleen and Jody. Bravo. I'm gonna unspotlight everybody and Anye, wonderful. So now we're gonna take the last few minutes to answer some questions from you guys. And I will say before we get into the questions, and it's a pretty common question, whether you're doing the in-person intensive, the online intensive, or the 2-year conservatory or part-time, everybody starts with this. The Meisner progression is the Meisner progression. It's always going to be 128 classes. It's always going to start with these 18 classes with the repetition. So if you're here for any of those programs or interested in them, it will start like this. If you want to take Anya's class, you have to do the fall in-person intensive. But I would love to open it up to the floor. I'm going to change the view. If anyone has a question, feel free to just raise your hand, either raise your Zoom hand or your human hand. And yeah, it could be a question for me. It could be a question for them. Layla, am I saying your name right?
Yes, yes, you're saying my name right.
Awesome.
I was just one because I did the summer intensive for
When?
the 6 weeks. It was like 2022, I
Okay,
think.
before my time. Well, welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm just wondering what the differences are between that and what the fall conservatory, like year one online would be.
That's a good question. So if you do year one online, the difference is year one online is broken up into three intensives: level one, level two, level three. Since you've already done level one, you don't have to do that again. Terry recommends that you do if it's been a few years because you
Mhm.
want to kind of get back into the swing of things. And I'll give you a discount if you've already done it to do it again. And that's, blanket statement to anyone. If you've done the in-person intensive and you want to do the online work and you're willing to do it from the beginning, we can work something out because you're going to do that again. So I want to help you out. You don't get that if you do the 2-year in person, because it is one thing. It's not broken up. But you will continue on in the work and it builds and you get into some different types of activities, some different types of exercises. I can send you like the full descriptions of everything that actually happens in that online work.
That
That's
would be
taught by
great.
Megan Mulcahy, who shadowed Terry for 2 years before teaching now in our conservatory and intensive. She's an NYU professor. She's great. And I can also send you a webinar about that where she goes into it a little bit. But yeah, I mean, the Meisner progression, like I just said, it's always the same. Like the way we do it is always the same. It's just a matter of where you are in that progression. So you won't be doing repetition for the entire first year. Don't worry, unless you can always find your way back to repetition. I have actors who finished the 2-year, like ones I directed last year, and they were like, "Can we do some repetition? Like I'm not really feeling connected."
Of
So
course.
back to it, but you will continue on in that progression.
One more, if that's
Yeah.
okay. I What is the immersion element here when we're doing it online for like movement
Hmm.
in front of a webcam and it's not with, because I did it with people in
Sure.
New York and there's an energy like current through the room that you
Yeah.
can't really quite feel in a online space.
So
And I
we
was
don't.
just wondering how,
Yeah. Go
like,
ahead.
how well that's worked out for students, if you've heard anything from them,
Sure.
say the.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we don't offer movement and voice online, which just the acting. But because the full first year is about you, like Layla in these acting, doing truthfully in these imaginary circumstances, we found it works really well online. We don't feel good about the online work in the second year, which is why we don't do it. If you want to do the full 2 years, half online, you do the first year online and then you come in person in the second year. But I would be happy to connect you and anyone here to a student who's done the full first year online and you can chat with them. We also have some video content I could share with you, and let's you and I schedule a time to chat more about this. But we have found it works really well. And Terry only does things that are excellent. That's really part of the mission. So he had to test this a lot before doing it online. And you kind of just saw what it looks like, right? Jody and Colleen, who never did this work online. They did like do one little, Zoom test before this, but it does work. Like you're able to see each other, you're able to highlight and really see each other. So whether you're coming in person or online, I mean, in person is always going to be better because like you're in person, you're live, but I'd say the online work is like 99%. as good. Like it's that 1% difference is that you can't touch each other. But you get to do that in the second year.
Yeah, if you don't mind me adding to that, a lot of I actually started teaching the Meisner work at the beginning of the pandemic, like right before the pandemic started.
Right.
You definitely subbed one time for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that, I know that that was something that Terry has talked about in terms of like he will tell you that he had a meeting with all of, the Meisner teachers that he's connected with, and it's like, how does this work translate when you're on a computer and there's a webcam, you can't touch each other. But what you find in a lot of ways, and this exists in person as well, is, well, what's the feeling behind not being able to be in the room? Right. At the end of the day, the thing that you're really, really working on is like, how do you get to the root of what's going on with you? And part of it is your geography. So part of it's going to be your topography. Part of it is the fact that I'm frustrated that I don't get to like grab you or whatever. And then you get to put that into the work, and then that means something, and then, right? So just all that to say that we have, unfortunately, an entire global pandemic that showed us, oh, this work actually does work really, really well when you are doing it online. So just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Anya. Awesome. Any other questions from anyone about anything? Nathan.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, have we met before?
No, I'm new.
Nice to
I have
meet
an
you.
interview next week.
Oh, amazing. I can't wait.
Yeah, so I'm a total beginner, total newbie, never acted before really in any real way, just, maybe some for fun things. And I have a full-time job, so scheduling is kind of hard for me. It seems like the intensive does have evening classes, but I'm still a little worried about the scheduling. So I'm just curious, like, how does that work? Is there any way to like mix and match things, or like just take one class, or like take a specialty class? Like, how does that work exactly?
Yeah, so it starts at 7 p.m., which, hopefully gives everyone enough time to commute. Obviously, like if you finish at 6 and you're in the Bronx, that might be hard. You can't really mix and match in terms of like skipping classes and taking other classes to substitute in for them. But we understand like life happens, shit happens. Like if you have to miss a few classes, we can do makeups with your teacher or another teacher. The idea is to be there for all 18 classes. It's only 18. So if you can commit to that, great. You can miss up to 2 classes and it's not a problem. If it's more than that, we have to kind of figure out something because it is such a clear progression and it's so much about what's happening in the room with everybody. If you miss too much, it's going to be hard to catch up. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of classes on a lot of different days. We have weekend classes too. So when we have our meeting next week, let's look at all the different options and see like what fits best in your schedule. And if it means like you have to do the intensive another time, because we do this intensive in the fall, the spring, and the summer, because there's a better time for you, then we can do that and find another class, like maybe improv, which happens, I think Wednesday nights. Maybe that's better because that's a little bit later. Like we can figure it out. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you.
We'll keep talking next week. Other questions? We have a couple more minutes. I have to give you guys my special offer. Don't worry, I didn't forget. Oh, we've answered all the questions. That's so good. I'm going to leave a little bit of awkward pause in case anyone's not sure whether or not they want to ask it. It's okay to not be sure.
I'll say hi. Say hi to
Hi.
Hey.
Can I add something, Marina, with the extra classes?
Sure.
Yeah, just like I would say for anyone who like needs to do some sort of different schedule. Also, I'm a big fan of clown. I think all the teachers here are huge fans of clown, and that like it helps your work in like ways that'll just creep up on you. You're like, I'm doing clown. It's fun. And it's not necessarily like, oh, we're all just wearing big floppy shoes right in the beginning and stuff. It's like that also is a progression in a build. But I just want to vouch for clown being like super fun, super helpful if you're also looking at lots of stuff.
I love it. Did you have a question or you just wanted to share that about clown?
I just want to share that.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, we love clown. Clown is so much about that inner child work. And you can take clown to stand alone. So if you have questions about that, come talk to me later. We are creeping up at the end of time though. Are you raising your hand, Hunter, or you're just playing with your pen?
No, I'll say something. I actually just thought of it. So
Go for
I'm
it.
enrolled in the fall program coming up in a few weeks.
Yeah.
But if I'm have interest in like another class that's like a short-term class, I can't double up, right? Like I couldn't take another.
Totally. I mean, you can't do the intensive and the 2 year at the same time because it
Right.
would be doing the same work twice
Mhm.
at the same time, which is going to get confusing. But we have a long menu of classes. You can always add classes as long as they don't overlap with one another.
Okay.
So let's talk more later, but I'm glad to see you. I'm glad that you're joining us.
Yeah,
And
for
the
sure.
last thing I will say to y'all is if you enroll by September 2nd, we will waive your admin fee. So if you haven't enrolled yet and you enroll in the next week, which means you have to apply online, submit an application, and book a conversation with me. Right now, I'm fully booked up until the second week of September. So right after this call, I'm going to go in literally in like 5 minutes and add some extra times. They're going to go so fast. I'm so popular. It's really hard. So make sure like you book those right away if you want to get that deal and talk to me. And then we will send a follow-up with all that info tomorrow, right, Angeline? Yeah, awesome. And it's 8 o'clock. I want to thank everyone for being here, for spending their night with us, to Jody, to Colleen, to Anya, to Angeline. Also, Scott, hi, it's good to see you. Scott is our one of our new marketing folks, so we have lots of friends here. And I will stick around for the next like 5 minutes or so. If anyone else has specific questions for me or wants to get something on the calendar with me right away, we can do that. But I appreciate you all, and I hope you all have a great night.
Nice to meet you guys. Bye.
Bye.